How's it going, you magnificent people? Today we're going to talk about the mainstay of the Death Guard army. Even though I don't run them that often, the Plague Marines. Stay tuned. So we're going to go over the basic stats first. Plague Marines have a movement of 5, a weapon skill and ballistic skill, both of 3+. We've got strength and toughness. Strength is 4, toughness is 5. 2 wounds, 2 attacks for the base regular Plague Marine and 3 for the champion. They have leadership of 7, the champion has 8, and they have a 3+ save. They come armed with a bolt gun, a plague knife, blight grenades, and crack grenades. So basically, blight grenades are kind of the same thing as frag grenades. The only difference is they have the plague weapon keyword. So you get the reroll ones and also the other little things that ping off plague weapons. They have a lot of options. Okay, so we'll go over the options and we'll go over the actual synergies and things like that once we've gone through the options. So the Plague Champion's Plague Knife can replace with a Demonic Plague Blade. So the Plague Knife itself is just Strength User, AP Neg 1 and a Plague Weapon. It's basically the standard sort of weapon. The Demonic Plague Blade, it is Strength +1. Neg 1 AP, 1 damage. So, changing that out, I think it was free from off the top of my head. The thing is though, if you keep the Plague Knife, there's certain stratagems that can help you out with that and ping off it. I'll go over that though a bit later. The Plague Champion's Bolt Gun can be replaced with one of the following: 1 Bolt Pistol, 1 Plasma Gun, or 1 Plasma Pistol. So the bolt gun is your basic bolt gun. If you've got a rapid fire, 1, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1, 24 inches. The bolt pistol is your regular bolt pistol. It's 12 inches, strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. The plasma gun. So you can actually get a few plasma guns into this unit if you wanted to have a little plasma death squad. So the plasma gun is strength 7, AP neg 3, damage 1, and any wound rolls of 1 kills the guy shooting. You can overcharge it. Actually, sorry, in that mode you don't die. If you overcharge it, you then die on a roll of 1 to wound. It also gives you strength 8 and damage 2. The plasma pistol, it's basically the same except it's short range and pistol. And the Plague Champion can be equipped with a Power Fist. So taking the Power Fist, you don't actually lose anything. You actually keep your Plague Plague Knife, sorry, which could be very important later. 1 Plague Marine's Bolt Gun can be replaced with a Blight Launcher, and 1 Plague Marine's Bolt Gun can be replaced with a Plague Spewer. So doesn't matter the number of guys in the squad, you can just do that straight up. So the Blight Launcher is a pretty good gun. It synergizes well with lots of things that synergize with plague weapons. The Blight Launcher has a profile of 24 inches, assault 2, strength 6, AP neg 2, damage 2, and plague weapon. The Plague Spewer. That has got a range of 12, heavy D6, strength 5, AP neg 1, damage 1, and it's plague weapon and auto hits. If the unit contains 10 models, alright, so not 5, not 4, not 8, 10, 1 Plague Marine's Bolt Gun can be replaced with one of the following: 1 Blight Launcher, 1 Plague Spewer. So if you take any number of guys in the unit, you can have 1 Blight Launcher, 1 Plague Spewer. If you get to 10, you can take an additional one, so you can either have 2 Blight Launchers and a Plague Spewer, or 2 Plague Spewers and 1 Blight Launcher, or you don't have to take any. For every 5 models in this unit, 1 Plague Marines bolt gun can replace one of the following: 1 melter gun, 1 plague belcher, 1 plasma gun. So that's how you get extra plasma guns. So if you take your plasma gun on your champion, then this is the way for you to get 2 more in the squad if you have 10. Even if you just have a 5-man squad with 2 in there, you can do a little bit of damage out of that. Not too bad. Depends on what you want to do. For every 5 models in the unit, 1 Plague Marines bolt gun can be replaced with 1 plague knife. So basically, that allows you to take an extra close combat weapon. I'll explain why that's interesting in a minute. For every 5 multi-units, 1 Plague Marines bolt gun can be replaced with 1 bubonic axe. A bubonic axe has a range of melee, type melee, strength +2, AP -2, damage 1, and plague weapon. For every 5 multi-units, 1 Plague Marines bolt gun can be replaced with 1 Mace of Contagion and 1 bubonic axe. The Mace of Contagion, it is range melee, type melee, strength +2, AP -1, and it is damage 3. Each time you make an attack with this weapon, you subtract 1 from the hit roll. You may also take, for every 5 mods this unit, 1 Flail of Corruption. I think these are the coolest. I'll explain them in just a moment. The Flail of Corruption is +1 strength, melee, type melee, AP -2, damage 2. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, make 2 hit rolls instead of 1. That's important. We'll go over that very soon. For every 5 models in this unit, 1 Plague Marines bolt gun can be replaced with 1 Great Plague Cleaver. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, subtract 1 from the hit roll, so it's a big heavy beast of a thing. It's a melee, type melee, strength ×2, AP -3, and it does D6 damage. 1 Plague Marine that is equipped with a bolt gun can be equipped with 1 Icon of Despair. That bolt gun cannot be replaced. The Icon of Despair, in your morale phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit with engagement range of this bearer's unit. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Right, so a little way of just pumping out a couple of the mortals here and there. Could be good, could be bad. I don't usually take it, but that's me. 1 Plague Marine that is equipped with a bolt gun can be equipped with 1 Sigil of Decay. That bolt gun cannot be replaced. Each time an attack is made with a bolt weapon by a model in that bearer's unit, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically ruins the target. So it's basically a good way of bypassing toughness. Cool. So their special abilities are Malicious Volleys, Remorseless, Disgustingly Resilient, and Contagious of Nurgle. And they also have a rule called Vectors of Death. A Plague Marine equipped with 2 melee plague weapons has an attacks characteristic of 3. So this is where it's important with these other special weapons. They replace the bolt gun and not the plague knife. So the plague knife's a combat weapon. This other weapons give you an extra attack. The flail, as mentioned before, so it's a plague weapon combat, and the plague knife that then gives you an extra attack. So you're base attacks at 3. They do 2 attacks for each of your attacks for that weapon. So each of those Plague Marines is then doing 6 attacks. Definitely something to be worthwhile. So they're kind of like a little blender. Throw 2 of them in a unit and you're pumping out 12 attacks, and they're pretty decent. There are ways to buff them up, so I'll go over them in just a moment. Alright, so support casters. You've got either a Plague Caster, a Sorcerer, a Demon Prince, someone like that that's got the ability to take psychic powers. A couple of good ones they can throw on them is Persistent Vitality, Warp Charge 7. Basically it adds 1 to your strength and toughness characteristics of models in the unit. That gives the Plague Marines toughness 6, which you're looking into vehicle range then. It also means that your Mace of Contagion is going to be... Mace of Contagion, your flails are going to be strength 6. So it doesn't sound like much, but that's quite significant because your Contagions of Nurgle negate toughness off other models. So taking Space Marines down to toughness 3, which means your flails will be when wounding on 2s, and being plague weapons, you can re-roll any ones to wound. So you're going to throw some damage out that way as well. A couple other good ones. You've got the Gift of Plagues, which gives a bit of extra range onto some of your contagions. It's mainly, I would put it on there if you're in close proximity to do some shooting damage. Otherwise, it's sort of a bit of an iffy one. It's kind of situational. You've got Miasma of Pestilence. Typically, there's better things in your army to be thrown that onto, but it's there if those things are dead and it's towards the end of the game, you don't want them to die. Gives them that neg to hit. And those are a couple of good ones. You can actually give them relics as well. They're the leaders of that squad. You can take a weapon called the Plague Bringer. Plague Bringer replaces the Plague Knife, and it gives you, it's a melee weapon, type melee, which is strength +2, AP -2, and 2 damage. It's not too bad. Takes you up to strength 6, which is that sweet spot for Death Guard killing infantry. And each time a model is destroyed as a result of an attack made with his weapon, that model counts as 2 destroyed models for the purpose of morale test this turn. I think they can take the Plague Skull as well. We'll double check for you though. It has a range of 6 inches. The bearer rolls 7 d6s. For each 4 or 5 that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. For each 6 that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So pump out some shots that way. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, you can give them the Plague Skulls. So those guys, basically they get the Plague Skull, the Plague Bringer, or the Suppurating Plate. I don't really see the Suppurating Plate being useful for that unit, unless you just want to tank on your champion for some reason, on a 2+ save, but yeah, those are the 2 best ones. A couple of stratagems. So you got Trench Fighters. Basically, it gives your Plague Knife an extra attack. So it kind of becomes an Astartes Chainsword. The thing that's interesting with that is if you did give your champion a fist, he's still got his Plague Knife. So he still gets the extra attack. So your 10 guys get an extra 10 attacks. If you take 10, you could take 5. Depends what you want to do. So yeah, Trench Fighters, it's a good one. You've got Creeping Blight, which is another good one. Use a stratagem in the fight phase when a Death Guard unit from your army is selected to fight until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack with a plague weapon, on an unmodified wound roll of 6, that attack has an armor penetration characteristic of -4. Not too bad. That'll punch through a lot of different types of armor quite easily. The other one I like is the Haze of Corruption. You can have a lot of weapons that do lots of damage. So you've got your Plague Bringer, you've got your flails, things like that. What that does, you use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Death Guard core unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model is destroyed by an attack made by a model in that unit, any excess damage inflicted by that attack is not lost and is instead suffered by another model in that unit. Do not make a saving throw for that model. This continues until there is no excess damage remaining. So, a lot of your weapons do basic 2 damage. Not all of them, there are some d6s and that sort of thing. Where this comes in useful is if you're up against single wound models for starters, so if you're up against like guardsmen or sisters, something like that, the 2 damage then spills over. So for every 1 you would normally kill, it becomes 2 deaths. The other thing is where it's good is when you have 3 wound models. So if you come up against Terminators. So typically you roll, you hit your Terminator, you take 2 damage on it, and then the next one would take 1 of those 2 damages and that one's lost. What that would then do, you get the 2 damage on the Terminator, you go the next 2 damage, 1 will then roll over to the next Terminator, they fail another one. So instead of only killing 1.5 Terminators, you've killed 2. Or you could kill more. Yeah, so anything with odd numbered wounds, essentially. You've got Eternal Hatred. This stratagem in your shooting phase will be Bubonic Astartes infantry unit from your army selected to shoot or fight in the fight phase. When a bubonic Astartes infantry unit from your army is selected to fight until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to that attack's wound roll. That is a 2 CP stratagem. What that one does, basically, it just gives you +1 to wound. So if you're up against a unit that's quite good toughness, you're wounding on a 3+ or a 4+, and you just need that little bit of extra punch. You can drop that stratagem on there and just give yourself that little bit more. Sometimes it'll take you into that sweet spot where you're wounding on a 2, so then your plague weapons will give you the rerolls of 1s. Cool. What was this other one I was going to talk about? So you got Overwhelming Generosity. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Death Guard unit from an army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, add 6 inches of range to the range characteristic of plague weapons that models in that unit are equipped with. So that's useful on the blight launchers and also the grenades. Virulent Rounds. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Death Guard core unit from an army selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, bolt weapons models in that unit equipped with have the plague weapon ability. So this gives your bolt guns reroll 1s to wound. You get into the range of the Arch Contaminator Warlord trait. If you're within the 12, the double tap zone usually. That will also give you full rerolls to wound, which sometimes it's just what you need. It's situational, but it's one of those ones where you can go, hang on, boom, there we go. That's about it. There's a few other little bits and pieces that aren't too bad, but they're quite situational. But overall, the Plague Marines aren't too shabby. The other thing I want to touch on just quickly is that they can actually go in a Rhino. Now I'll go over the Rhino in its own video, a brief video. But the Rhino is a way to get your models into a position where they're holding an objective. Drive it in there, you can park on it. Your opponent then has to go through 2 layers. They've got to be able to kill the vehicle, and then they've got to kill the guys that jump out of it. The other thing it does is it gives you a layer of protection, so you're not going to get plucked off. You can go Land Roaders and things like that as well. They're just very expensive, points-wise. So, no doubt, I've left something out of Plague Marines, but there's a lot to deal with them. They're a unit that you can have as the backbone, absolutely. The other one is Poxwalkers, which will be the next video. I'll go over them. And sometimes it's good to have a bit of both. So I don't mind Plague Marines. I do have about 70 of them. I need to get them all painted up. I might even have more, I might even have 80 odd. But I need to get them all painted up. And then I might do a full infantry army for you guys, just for fun. But anyways, until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. And leave me some comments, let me know some things I forgot for the summary video that I'll be putting out eventually. Until then, be awesome.